We recently got 2 horses. My younger daughter, a young teen, wanted them, as she's been learning to ride. My older daughter, nearly adult, was against them. She's much more apprentice-y and didn't want to deal with the mess and chores that come with horses. But we told her it wouldn't be something she'd have to deal with, and that her younger sister promised to take care of all of it. Well, recently, the older daughter's been disrespectful at home and staying out too late, and her grades have been slipping. We warned her to shape up, but last week when we heard that she'd been needlessly insulting her younger sister while I was out running errands, I told her that she'd be cleaning out the stable each day for the next week, as punishment, and that her sister would get a break. She got upset and offended and said we promised she'd never have to go in there or scoop horse poop. I said I promised it wouldn't be one of your chores, of course. But obviously, punishment is supposed to be something outside of your normal chores and something you won't like, and I thought it was perfectly fair here. She's been doing it for 3 days now, but seems very resentful of our broken promise, acting very disgusted, and keeps begging to get out of the rest of it. But I said I thought it was fair, and she was overreacting. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You bought 2 horses for your younger daughter and promised the older daughter she wouldn't have to be involved in their care. You broke your promises. There were plenty of adequate and appropriate punishments available you could have given your daughter for staying out late and letting her grades slip. Are you deliberately trying to stir up resentment between the 2 sisters? Because this is how you get resentment between 2 sisters. Exactly. Horses are a pretty big gift. Does your oldest child get the same treatment as your youngest child? It could be resentment building up and causing her to act out, and being forced to take care of her sister's huge gift will only worsen the resentment. I was wondering the same. Horses are a huge gift. After the purchase price, there's still upkeep, vet bills, farriers, tack, and food, and not just 1 horse, but 2. My child used to ride, and even leasing a horse cost a small fortune, but buying 2? OP, have you given the older daughter a comparable gift? This whole story reeks of favoritism. I bet money the older one hasn't gotten anything but increased chores, so the precious perfect golden child doesn't have a thing to do. And I need more information about who said she's been needlessly insulting to her younger sister. Was it the younger sister tattling? And what is needlessly insulting? Is there such a thing as needfully insulting? And isn't that part of sibling squabbles, being needlessly insulting? And I'm sorry should suffice for that indiscretion, in my honest opinion. Your oldest daughter isn't the golden child, obviously, so you want her to be Cinderella. I, 28 male, have this friend, Charlotte, 29 female. Charlotte and I go way back. We were at a bar one night, and we just happened to get into a small argument about something personal. So, we spent a few minutes just bitterly drinking, and not talking to each other, when this weird guy walked up between us, and started saying awful things to her. Charlotte kept glancing at me, and by the expression on her face, I could tell that she was completely frozen, and wanted me to help her out. However, I was still bitter about our little disagreement, so I turned away from her, pulled out my phone, and surfed the web. That guy talked to Charlotte for about 5 minutes, and said the weirdest stuff. I couldn't help but glance back at Charlotte, and it looked like she was almost about to burst into tears. I decided that enough was enough, and I told the guy to take a hike. We got into a verbal fight, but the guy eventually left. Once we were sure that the guy had left for good, and he wasn't just standing around waiting outside, I walked Charlotte back home. She just said passive-aggressive stuff like, "I hope you enjoyed yourself, and it's a good thing you took your sweet time." When we returned to her apartment, she was still angry at me. Am I the idiot? Oh God, you are the idiot. You held so much power in this situation, and you decided to use it to let your friend remain terrified. You intentionally used this to hurt her, not just petty normal fighting, but to allow someone else to abuse her actively. This could have put her in danger, and she knew that. She knew that you were okay with her being verbally abused while you actively decided not to help. Yeah, you are the idiot. I cannot say enough times, you are the idiot. When a woman gives you the pleading, "Get me out of here" stare, you do it, period, no matter how upset you are with her at the moment. The instant a creep harasses her, and she signals you, you help. Heck, even if you don't know her, and she's being clearly harassed, step in. This is how bad things happen, because no one steps in. The actual heck, dude, did you really need the whole internet to tell you you're the idiot here? You're her friend, and you just watched that happen, and listened? I doubt your friends much longer. I hope your mild argument with Charlotte was worth losing a friendship over. You broke so many friend codes by doing that. Who needs enemies with a friend like you? My daughter, kindergartner, has some severe food intolerances. Eating the wrong thing frequently ends in a hospital visit. She has snack time at school, where the kids bring in their own snacks. I found a really fun snack for her online that she can actually eat, and have been sending that in with her for months. On Tuesday, when I opened her bag, I found that the snack was there untouched, so I asked her why. She told me it was too tough for her to open. I asked her about the previous weeks, and she told me that her teacher used to help her, but doesn't anymore. I encouraged her to ask her teacher the next day. The next day, the snack was still unopened, and when I asked her about it, she told me that the teacher told her she needed to learn to open her snacks at snack time all by herself. So, I sent the teacher an email explaining that the snack is quite tough to open, even for adults sometimes, and that it would be super helpful if she could help my daughter open her snack when she's unable to do so. Otherwise, she has an 8-hour school day with only her lunchtime to eat. I was nice about it, but you better believe it did make me a bit angry that she'd rather let a kid go without a snack while all the other kids ate one than help a young child open a snack. I picked her up on Thursday, and she still had an unopened snack. At this point, I called the teacher to ask what was going on, and she said that their goal for the last few months of kindergarten was to promote independence, and that she couldn't do that if they had to hold the kid's hand at every turn. She said it might help if I sent my kid in with a normal snack instead of such a bizarre, difficult to open one. She's very aware of my daughter's food intolerances. At this point, I politely thanked her and called the principal, asking him to move my daughter to a different classroom. I said that it was very inappropriate to emphasize that my daughter's snacks weren't normal enough, given that she could not live a normal life. I wish I could give her some Cheetos or a pack of cookies like the other kids get, but I can't, and I just wanted my daughter to have something a little bit more fun when all the other kids were eating those things. She moved rooms, but her previous teacher sent me a message about how I've really made things difficult over a snack. Apparently, they've started an investigation and are monitoring how she interacts with the kids. Two of the moms that she knows better than me commented in the moms group chat that the way the teacher was treated in regards to this is completely unfair, and that a child's food issue shouldn't be their teacher's issue to deal with. So, am I the idiot? Should I just send in a different snack? Edit. I asked a couple of times why I can't open the snack before school. For some reason, the school policy is that the snack has to be a single serve item in a sealed package and not in a Tupperware container, and it won't allow repackaging. Also, kindergartners are not allowed to carry scissors, no exceptions. Not the idiot. If they're making requirements of how a snack is packaged, then they're responsible for ensuring said packaging is open for the child if the child has difficulties opening it, regardless of food intolerances or allergies. This has nothing to do with teaching kids independence. Yeah, I don't think letting a kid miss out on the snack time that everyone else gets when her mother gets her a snack that agrees with the school policy teaches anything other than discouraging her from asking for help in the future. This teacher sounds lazy or entitled. I can't believe some parents are taking her side. Also, for the teacher to contact you afterward and complain about your concerns was really unprofessional. I teach high school students who need help with opening stuff sometimes or fixing things, and sometimes I ask them for help too. While I understand the need for teaching independence, I feel like this was a weird hill to die on due to dietary restrictions. Also, I hope you screenshotted the conversation of the mothers moaning and shared that with the principal, as that shows the teacher's been gossiping. A coworker started to develop feelings a month into knowing me. Let's call him Gray. It may not be something too deep, so I was flattered. I told him I wasn't interested since I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. A month after this rejection, Gray asked me to be his girlfriend. Again, I rejected it. He said it was cool, but he'd appreciate it if I didn't cut him off. I didn't, as he was a nice friend to have. I had to reiterate to him more than once after this that there was no chance I was reciprocating the feelings at all. One day, one of my closer coworkers let me know that Gray would ask her what my plans for the day were, and if I had any, he'd ask her where I'd be going and who I'd be with. He'd also ask her if I was hanging around any other male coworkers. One time when we were out to lunch with our team, our boss gave us the rest of the day off. That meant we'd be free to go home or hang out after lunch. I told everyone I'd be off home, as I was too tired. He offered to bring me home, and I declined. He snapped and started almost begging me to bring me home, but I just kept declining. He said then, "Fine, let me book you a taxi," and proceeded to type my address correctly when I knew for a fact that I never gave him my address. I was majorly uncomfortable at this point. He's done weirder things over the past year, stalking my family on social media, memorizing usernames of my closer friends on IG. He even found an old account I wasn't using anymore, shipping products he bought online directly to my address, even getting in a taxi and following me home. When I confronted him about it, he said he was just ensuring I was safe. Last week, while preparing to go home, it started to rain, so he insisted on bringing me home on his motorcycle. He followed me around the office saying, "Please let me bring you home." We were around other coworkers, but I snapped at him and told him to screw off and leave me alone in a relatively high voice. A coworker who was aware of the stories I told above overheard and told me I didn't have to react that way. I talked to a non-coworker friend about it, and he told me that this might be Gray's way of winning me over. Now I'm worried that I'm just viewing him as annoying and stalkerish because I didn't reciprocate the feelings and went off on him when he was being kind. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'd say report him to HR. Stay away from him. He thinks he's Superman. See what he has on. That's not a cape. That's a frigging red flag. Also, screw that idiot coworker who told you not to react that way. They obviously don't understand or care about your situation if they know the stories and expect you to always be calm. Majorly angry at that scene extra. Anyways, report him. Tell your family about him so that they can be aware and beware of him and his presence. Get a dog if you don't have one. Keep some self-defense stuff. This could escalate as time goes by. Do not give him a chance. This. OP, you're being stalked. Go to HR. Let them know you only want him to talk to you about work. He's not to offer you a ride home. If you see him follow you home or near your house, you will get a restraining order. Tell him if the company can't handle him, you're going to the police. And before you go to HR, I would write down everything that's happened, even if you don't remember the dates. Then I'd make a copy for them and for you. The most concerning part of this story is that he knows your address, but you never told him. Following you home is unacceptable and grounds for a restraining order in some jurisdictions. I'm sure he thinks he's winning you over, but that doesn't make it okay. This is way over the line, not just some awkward workplace flirting. Oh, I doubt he thinks he's winning her over. At this point, it's just pressure to get her to break and to give in while making that effort to be seen as having good intentions. The scene with the taxi was a power move. I know where you live and I need to illustrate that you don't get your own choice here. Either way, I knew you're home. OP, you're in a very dangerous situation. You need to make HR aware and start documenting these instances so you have evidence to take to the police. This is going to get much, much worse before it gets better. Update. I've told my coworker, the one he asked about my plans, if she would support me in bringing this to HR. But it turns out she's already kind of tipped them off at his behavior. By this, I mean she's mentioned it vaguely to a friend from HR because she didn't want to get ahead of me. And HR said that the complaint had to come from me for them to be able to do something about it. So she would be supporting me in filing a complaint. Thank you all for your concern and for pulling me out of downplaying the situation. My son, Henry, divorced his wife, Rachel, a year ago. Their divorce wasn't exactly messy, but it wasn't easy either. I stay in contact with Rachel for my granddaughter's sake. My granddaughter's a pretween and Rachel also has another daughter, Amy, 3 years older than my granddaughter, who's not my son's child. She was from a past relationship Rachel had. Now, the thing is, Amy grew up calling me grandma for pretty much her whole life. I treated her exactly the same as I did my biological granddaughter. I'd always take candy for both of them, Give them both a little bit of pocket money and hugs and love, and still do love Amy as much as I do my granddaughter. As far as I'm aware, she's my second granddaughter. When my son and his wife divorced, I stayed in contact with his now ex-wife to contact my granddaughter, and Amy has her own mobile phone. I also have her phone number and stay in contact with her occasionally. She still calls me grandma as well. I didn't think this would be a problem. However, last week when it was Amy's birthday, I gave Rachel some money to buy her a present for me. She was thankful, bought her a gift, wrapped it, and sent me a picture of her opening it. Later that day, my son came around to visit me, and my phone rang. Amy called to say thank you for your birthday present. My son told me he found it inappropriate for me to talk to his ex-wife and her daughter when she was not my granddaughter. He said I have absolutely no reason to be in contact with either of them, as I see my biological granddaughter regularly, and that she's the only who's family. So, his ex-wife and Amy, who are no longer family, have no reason for me to be in contact with them. I disagree, as I only speak to Rachel about my granddaughter, and I speak to Amy as, for the last 10 years, I've been treating her exactly the same as my biological granddaughter. It would be unfair now to no longer have contact with her, after so long. Am I the idiot for staying in contact with them both? I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I never discuss my son with either of them. I simply check in and see how they are. Not the idiot. He's been in this girl's life for 10 years, and he's not staying in touch, and doesn't seem to care or worry about her. That should be the issue here. Be careful he doesn't decide to not let you see your other granddaughter, just because he doesn't agree with you. Your son is a major idiot though. Amy's been a significant part of your lives for 10 years, and your son is upset that you still talk to her, and treat her with kindness, instead of dropping her out of your life entirely, as though she doesn't matter at all. Is he demanding you do that to a literal child? No wonder his wife divorced him. What a selfish, spiteful idiot. Agree. That's a lot of time to form a bond beyond a casual relationship. Your son is selfish, thinking his anger towards his ex is more important than your love for the children. He cannot tell you to change your priorities. I understand that your son is hurting, but you're only demonstrating love for the kids. Once again, the father's in the movie Clueless. You divorce wives, not children. Grandma gets it, but Dad does not. Grandma, carry on.